each country is going to go. So the British even paid bribe to the French to allow them to take the whole of Nigeria. They were coming for raw materials. Don't forget the slave trade had ended. Industrial revolution has started with the invention of steam engine by James Watt. Industrialization had started in Europe. They were producing goods and they were looking for markets. At the same time, they were looking for oil. So it was purely for economic interest. So, and nothing more than that. For themselves, that they were ready to set two groups against each other, and they will kill each other and destroy each other in order for them to get what they want.
Is that still happening though?
It is. Well, I don't know to the extent to which, but you cannot remove the influence of the West in what is happening in Africa as a whole.
So, by extension, you feel that this particular marriage hasn't actually done well for the betterment of a common man?
No, it has not. Look at what has happened. The war that was fought in order to keep the country together, you can see that country is collapsing in our face. And agitation is coming from everywhere because of impunity, because of injustice. Because there are other countries that are actually bigger than Nigeria in population, but India is managing its own. It is when you have impunity. There is no group of people in Europe that will allow what is happening here in Nigeria to happen to them. Belgium is only 12 million people. And even in Belgium, you have a German-speaking group in Belgium that have their own university separate. That language is spoken. Their culture is there. So it is injustice that is bringing about the problem. So the union is not working. But it is somehow working for the North, because when you look at all the things that have been built in the North, that marriage of 1914 is still benefiting them hugely.
How is it working in the North, given that even the so-called indices?
Yes, I don't mean it is working for the elite, the politicians who are taking the money and using it to build a few things that they would never have been able to build. For instance, roads. Where would they have gotten money to build the kind of roads that Marwa built in Sokoto in those days? Is it from Grand North or from where? Northern Nigeria as a country would have been like Chad, Niger, that you have only one single road from here to Abuja and nothing else. And are still using Bongoro when we are using buses here. So Northern Nigeria would have been very poor without the oil. The other aspect of it is that the people you see on the streets are beggars. This is deliberately done in order to keep the people from revolting.
Are there any countries that British colonized that are doing a lot better? I mean, Ghana is one of the countries on the African continent that they colonized.
Yeah.
Do you think they're doing better? What's making them do better?
Yeah, Ghana is doing better, but you know how it started. Jerry Rawlings was the one that began what is now moving. Ghana is the best in the whole of West Africa. The 5 countries, English-speaking or Anglophone West Africa, Ghana is the best in all indices. But you know how it started. Jerry Rawlings deposed Hila Liman and told him, don't come out from this corruption. He refused, and the man came back, toppled him and became president, and you know what happened. 3,000 people were killed in the stadium. The corrupt people were rounded up and brought to the stadium and shot. People were shouting everywhere in the world, and Rawlings kept doing, and after that every place became quiet. He later became president, that is after he had gone out of the army. But let us also know that he has a European background. His mother is from Italy. Yeah. So Ghana's case came at a cost. I don't know any other country. Is it Uganda, Kenya? If you look at the Eastern African countries, the only one that is doing well presently, to a certain extent, is Rwanda. Apart from that, in Central Africa, I don't see.
But Rwanda is taking a totally different path, because you know that in the UK, even though it is democracy, we know that Rwanda is not necessarily democracy.
Yeah, yeah. It's a bit of a dictatorship, but the indices we are seeing from Rwanda and good governance is taking place to a certain extent, far much better than any other country that is around it. And Paul Kagame came to do something, and I think he has achieved a lot. He has achieved a certain kind of unity between the Tutsis and the Hutus after the civil war that claimed millions of people, but he has worked so hard to bring the people together, and the institutions are working.
I mean, if you look at these countries, it's, something very significant must have happened. Ghana, something significant happened. Rwanda, something significant happened. Nigeria, something significant happened. And we were not a lot better than we were. In these other two countries, something significant had happened. They have learned their lessons, and they are better off years behind that. But we've had a war, a bitter war, that doesn't look like it has gone away because those ripples are still staring us in the face. That should have been giving us some measure of unity. That should have given us some measure of, control and cautiousness in dealing with our differences. But it seems it has gone worse. Beyond the blame on the British, do you think that we as a people should take responsibility?
Of course, of course. As I mentioned the other time, people say, "Onya alafu la alafu, uche agalebe." If they deceive you, don't you have your thinking faculty? Even as we blame the West or British people, but we allowed. If Gowon had refused, because when there was something remarkable that happened in August 1968, a unit of the Biafran army fought its way from here to Benin and was at Ore. And they would have taken Lagos within about 3 weeks. Except that Tunji Banjo, who led the operation, delayed and stayed in Benin for 3 months and refused to advance and started making plans to hand over government to his brother Awolowo as he would become the vice president. You understand? By this time, when Banjo and his group were in Benin, Gowon was running away in a helicopter to go back to Zaria. It was the British High Commissioner, David Hunt, who told him, "Why are you doing like a coward?" And his counterpart, Eberhard Matthew, that is the American High Commissioner, who was stationed in Benin. These two people were those who advised him not to run, to stay and get what he wants and fight the war. So if he had said no, nothing would have happened. So as we blame them, those other countries we cited, significant things happened and they changed to a certain extent. Leadership is the problem. Look at what Rawlings did. If Rawlings did not do what he did, I don't think that Ghana. He set a pace. And Kufo, who came after him, anyone who was coming looked at the shoe was now very big, so you have to make your leg to match into it. And Kagame, we don't know who he's going to hand over to, but as a dictator to a certain extent, but he is progressive. He has shame that Africa cannot always be covering his shame everywhere it is looked upon. So he's building up the country. So you ask yourself, why is Nigeria the way it is? Is it because of the leaders?
So where do we go from here? Speaking about leadership, we haven't learnt our lessons. We still fall prey to these colonial masters who have come in different forms this time. It's no longer...
No, the colonial masters now are no longer from Europe. The colonial masters are from here, in Nigeria.
So where do we go from here? Because these so-called colonial masters are from the people. We elect them, we vote them, we push them, we exalt them. So who else now would you put your fingers on as the reasons why we're where we are?
We are also partly responsible because no governor is going to carry money on his head by himself. It is one of us who is going to. A governor is not going to put money in the tank. There's somebody who is going to put it. So we are also to blame. and the mentality of what we call Oloyibo, government work. You see, the problem with colonization is that the mentality was so that this is government work. So the issue of common good in the Igbo tradition, remember when you start doing government work so much, you are so serious, they say, is it your work, this is government work. Do you understand what that means? Don't kill yourself. There was a story that Chinua Achebe told in No Longer at Ease. There was this man, Mr. Green, who hated Nigeria. He was working in Lagos. Remember Obi Okonkwo when he studied in London and came back? And he was working in VI. He was the only black man living in VI, working for Nigerian government, the British government. So he noticed that this Mr. Green, who hated Nigeria, would be in his office till 5 p.m. because the man said, I want to earn my pay because I receive salary every month. So I have to do corresponding work that warrant me to get money. So he has conscience even though he hated the country, but he was working. It is our own people who are maneuvering things and wanting to get money without working. So they don't really have a stake in the country as one. What are they coming to do? When you come to office, what are you coming to do? Are you coming to protect the commonwealth of the people and be able to distribute them judiciously and justly? Is that what the leader is coming to do? You notice that in Nigeria, that's not what the leader is doing. The leader is coming for what will go into his pocket, and he will select a few people around him and give them the things that they want. And they will clap for him and dance, even when they see that he's not performing at all because of what they're getting from him. And remember last week, the analogy we gave. We weaponize poverty. You bring the people to their knees so that they will not be able to resist the money that you are going to give them. So the fault is our own. And look at the whole of Africa. As we are blaming the colonization, look, Africa has 54 independent countries and 2 countries that are not yet recognized. But if you look at indices, the economic index, you look at the fragile state index, you look at development index, you look at transparency and corruption index, Africa is completely on the ground everywhere you go. So where are we going to blame? We have to start somewhere. And we have pockets of people. How do you select those who are going to be in these positions? Now that election is coming up and people are ready to campaign for somebody they know that is not supposed to be there at all, and they are clapping and pushing this person to go there. You ask yourself, are they sane? What exactly is happening to us? For me, I think that it has to go terribly bad. You know, when you push somebody to the wall and there's no space again. So let things collapse like it's collapsed in Ghana. Remember what happened in Ghana? Remember, I don't know if you understand the meaning of the fact Ghana must go. The Ghanaians were coming to Nigeria to come and clean gutters, shine shoes, yeah, to do menial jobs. Now, Nigerians are going back to Ghana to study because there is no strike in the universities in Ghana. But it was that collapse of the economy and the collapse of politics that made Rawlings to rise up. Jerry Rawlings then came, carried out a coup, a very bloody coup, and brought up the country and set a standard that they are now for. Of course, they're having problems here and there, but at least they have shown something that is different from our own. They got independence in 1957, when we, Nigeria, would have also gotten independence, but for the fact that they were waiting for the North. But the East and West had independence in 1957. They could run their affairs. And the government we had in the regions in those days were far much better than what we have today.
You're listening to Energy 105.5, another explosive hour right on our faces with Reverend Dr. Tobe Nnamani from the People's Creative Empowerment International, giving us an interesting insight into historic perspective to our collective well-being. You can join the conversation this morning by calling into the studio 0700 1055 1055. You can also call 0700 1055 0000. You can ask questions, you can make comments, and do that as quickly as you can. Hello, Edwin. If you have a question, go ahead.
I saw how absurd the thing thing, and especially the question of that man, this man asked now. People have been propagating this very particular question. But to the little of my international politics and relations, I know that such a thing does not exist.
Okay. Yes. Go ahead.
For this very one, I know that after fighting a civil war, no United Nations, no power has the power to give you independence thereafter. You only get your independence through force or through international relations, that is within international politics. So I want to but I'll call again when I get the food.
All right. Hello. Good morning. I'm fine. Your name and location. Okay, and so go ahead.
Many decades, we have been living bridges for underdeveloping. Let me bring it down to Nigeria. That many decades, British. Yes, whenever we have issues in this country, they tell people blame British for underdeveloping Nigeria. We'll write a petition and send to the same Britain. Are we not tired of blaming British for our problem? Can't we just move on after the Civil War? Can't we just move on? Who is stopping countries from developing southern countries to trade Dorado? Who is stopping Niger Delta from developing their region? Who? We are still blaming Northern land for developing Niger Delta and Southeast. Like seriously? Can't we just move on? Niger Delta leaders, they have access to crude oil. Go to Niger Delta, like the Bayelsa for instance, 8 to 9 local government, 17 billion. What are they doing with their resources? The same leaders who have led to develop Niger Delta money from Niger Delta go to Abuja, go to UAE, go to our UK to buy a property, and we talk about blame the same British. Like seriously, we can move on now. We can continue to live in the past. Maybe 21st century, there are not some 14 colleagues now. Especially my even for that, let's move on. Service, do you know how much I can grow to service? Can't we just develop service? British from January the first were blaming civil war for that development. The reason why service is the one that developed. Can the service leaders, governors unite and develop service? If they can not spend 70% of facts and ideas, I can tell you, service will become Medorado.
All right. Thank you. And so, hello. Good morning.
Good morning.
You're welcome, Odaze.
Thank you very much. I'm listening intently. Good morning to the lawyer.
Good morning, Ada Odaze.
For this program. I think we should publicize it a little better so that the younger Nigerians will get interested. Most of them don't even know the story. Okay, right now. Most young Nigerians don't even know there was a running, for example. Most of them didn't even know we had ADN in this country. Most of them didn't know that Amalonso Aduola in this country. And then when you begin to think this, most of them don't know what they say on Aburi with fans, for example. And that was because, like you rightly pointed out, those that have colonized us now are within us. How can we have discarded the teaching of history immediately after the war? Because we don't want to recall the atrocities of that war and what happened to a particular part of the country. But even like that, how? The day you get up and begin to tell yourself some home truths, the better. All you got to do is to learn from your mistakes, not to live with it and begin to play the victim all the time, and you begin to live in self-denial, and you begin to say, oh, they have marginalized you. Why should you remain marginalized? Like the man that just said, why can't you develop? It is difficult for us to develop, because that's what the first people took. When we had selfless Nigerians, in the first republic, the one Shagari was president, and President Colorado. We lost it after that, after the military came on board. But the military came with good intention, but they didn't have the knowledge or the clouds in that. They didn't even know the history of what got us to where we are, where we were. They didn't even know that Britain, for example, was busy securing their wealth in Nigeria. It's like Congo, for example. Congo Republic is about the richest country in the world, but they've never had freedom. Till today, they're always killing themselves because they know, the international community know that if we let these people go, they will rule the world. And that is what we have here. When we left our first republic after the war, those that could have been able to salvage this country abandoned it. And then they start politics again. Then the elite, all the few educated, or the enlightened, ran away. Everybody began to run away from politics. They began to run away from politics. And that is what has kept us where we are. Can you point to anybody now and say, oh, this is a leader, or a ruler? A leader. It's just that by providence, somebody like Tobe has come up with that from the north, which is very important. And a northern community said to his brothers, listen, learning is not around. He's saying it and saying it now. If you can sustain it, then maybe, just maybe, with us here, we say, yes, this is the original intelligentsia of Nigeria, and that is Tobe. This is a selfless Nigeria. And maybe we produce somebody like Mandela, okay? And when we do that, we will not produce a rolling in this country now because our young men
All right.
nobody wants to die. That's my brother. Nobody wants to die for Nigeria. Just make a decision of that.
All right.
You can just move and still and answer.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for this program. Please keep it up.
Thank you, Odaze.
Thank you, Odaze. I'm happy to hear your voice. The first question is not accurate. The suggestion that the man was saying you cannot abrogate amalgamation and accord or something is not true. The amalgamation was supposed to last for 100 years. And the regions had planned that they get independence first and then they separate. You get the point?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was what they were planning. Let us get our independence first and then we separate. So there was no problem. It was that after independence, we didn't have time to be able to consolidate the country, and then the coup came, and then the civil war came. Don't forget, 1966 years after. But everyone was predicting that this union is not going to last. Everyone knew it. Even the British people, they knew it. So let me give examples of where international community has helped countries to emerge. Take, for instance, the current one, Kosovo. Kosovo is a quasi-independent country. Serbia doesn't have anything to do with it. It is administered by the United Nations, and it is a country of its own. So you cannot say the international. It depends on the interest of the international community. South Sudan was created after they had fought for so many years, for more than 30 years. Gambia and Senegal became a country briefly for about 3 months. They speak the same language. It is the River Gambia or River Senegal that is separating them. And they decided, no, we're not going to stay together, stay separate. Remember the story of Lot and Abraham in the Bible. They say, let us not have issue with our cows, and so go left and let me go right. So there's no problem in people talking about not separating. Lebanon was created specifically to save the Christians in the Middle East. Lebanon was a creation of America and Europe to save the Christians who were predominantly. So Lebanon was created out of Syria and the other country. So you cannot say that the international community does not create country. They do. East Timor was created. Bangladesh was created in 1971, separating from Pakistan. So that theory of once you are together, you have to be together, it is not true. So we have, we gave example of Singapore and Malaysia. They got independence. 3 years later, they separated. They are good neighbors today. So there's no problem if the eastern Nigeria would separate and become a separate country and become good neighbors to the other ones. It is only for the leaders, if they want to do it peacefully. Leaders who were sensible and sensitive, they separated peacefully. Those who don't want peace, they separated by force. Eritrea and Ethiopia were one country, they separated after a war. You understand? So that idea is not true. And of course, you know that Yugoslavia is now divided into 5 countries. The old Yugoslavia. That's because the world powers force countries that are not supposed to be together, they push all of them together, and then gradually it started disintegrating. Now Croatia is a separate country, Serbia is a separate country, Montenegro is a separate country, Kosovo is now almost a separate country of its own. Europe went and stopped Serbia from killing people in Kosovo and created that country today. The point is, what interest do they have in Nigeria? Do they really want Nigeria to stand or to continue to be a raw material?
So totally they have a different
standard, yes.
Standard for Europe,
yes,
of countries that want to separate,
yes,
and
yes.
different standard for Africa that wants to separate.
The issue of Northern Ireland is still a problem. Northern Ireland should join the Republic of Ireland in Dublin. But Northern Ireland is still part of Great Britain. Nobody is going to fight them, but you know they have been fighting the Sinn Féin. They were doing terrorism for more than 35, 40 years. And they were able to get to a certain extent, but the problem is not solved. Eventually, Northern Ireland should join the Republic of Ireland because they are the same people.
All right, we still have space for a few phone calls. Let's see. Hello? Good morning.
Good morning.
Justice, you're welcome.
Yeah. One thing I don't like with you, personally, as an Igbo man, I don't like our lamentation. We lament so much. What is the reason for our lamentation now? Are we not better where?
Sorry, do you say adaptation?
And doing things out there. I'm so proud. And even if you want to bring me down, I know I'm always on top. I do we like so much, like we lament as if we are people who are so low and down. We have people, we have people. Check the whole world.
No, I think that's not the issue here. I don't think that is the issue we're discussing, please. We are very proud of ourselves because I saw a study in 2000 that looked at doctorates that were written in the whole world, and they said Igbo people had 60% of doctorates written from 1960 to 2000. Igbo people had 60% of the doctorate. And our people are doing very well everywhere they are. It is the system. Why is it that a Nigerian Igbo man goes to America and he becomes outstanding, and he's not in here in Enugu? It is the system. We will talk about it another day. It's the system that rewards merit and where the rule of law functions. That even when they don't like you, you work, they will pay you your money. Do you get the point? So here in Nigeria, you have no right. The other day I mentioned to you what happened to me at the Heathrow Airport in London. The man came to me as I was complaining and he said, stop talking, you are from Nigeria, you even have mouth to talk. If they kill you in the street of Lagos, nothing will happen, but if you die here, the British government will be in trouble. Say, shut up, stop making noise. I kept quiet because what he was saying was true. We give you rights here because that we follow the law. In your country, you don't have rights. While Igbo people are distinguished in so many things, it is still lacking for them to come together to rebuild their own home state here that is collapsing. Why don't you have good roads linking the 5 Igbo states? Why do the governors not come together to get permission to build their own rail? So what are they talking about? It is leadership that is causing the whole problem. And unfortunately, those who are ruling are not the people that are supposed to be there, because while we are talking about intellectuals and Igbo people who are excelling in so many things, why are those people not in governance in order to rebuild the place? You hand power over to people who are only talking about their pockets. Hospitals, schools are collapsing and we are watching, and the worst is that so many people are clapping for the same people who are holding us on the ground. The Igbo people are proud. The poverty index is the lowest in Igbo land. It is highest in the north, even though they have been ruling. So I don't think that we are not proud of ourselves. We want to move further. We want to become the Taiwan of the world. And that is also part of the reason why the whole of Europe ganged up their government to make sure that Biafra did not succeed. Maybe another time we will talk about what happened in Biafra, how Biafra was able to be sustained for 30 months. You have almost 3 years at the war. Produced its own weapons. You understand? Because they blocked Biafra from everywhere from importing arms. So how come that they produce their own? And where are those people who did it? Couldn't Nigeria have taken that advantage to be exporting weapons today? And maybe if you want to know something about what happened to the weapon industry in Igbo land and Biafra, go to Proda and ask them. They still preserve some relics and some documents, some things that you can look at. That is also part of what we can be talking about. Do we need permission in order to rebuild Proda? I think Proda is a federal something, I don't know. But you see what Nnamani is doing. Yeah?
Right.
So are we buying his cars? If I were governor, I will make sure that all the cars that I'm using come from Nnamani to promote his, he will bring in employment, expand his business.
Anyways, we have a topic next week, and it's going to be all about participation. We've identified the fact that leadership is one of our big problems in Nigeria. Next week, we're going to find time to discuss extensively how leadership is a problem and how specifically the people would feel like this is their own. Leadership is an opportunity for you to participate and make sure that you are not left out in the whole scheme of things. Just before we go, I have 1 minute to do that, and maybe your numbers as well.
Okay. We said those who may want to support this program we are doing can call me on 080-3637-8803. This program is running, we call it civic education, empowering people with information. So please join us if you can. Next week we'll be talking about participation. And the title is You Are Not As Powerless As You Think You Are. So we're going to outline certain things that we would want individuals to begin to do from your street, from your yard, from your village, looking at the town unions. So what are they doing? If you are waiting for the local government to come to do something and it doesn't come, there are some. Oh, by the way, let me just end it with what I heard that happened in Alo, in Idembili. that Alo is now a digital town. 5 kilometers before you reach Alo, those in control room would have seen you. They have cameras
Wow.
in the farm, in the forest, everywhere. Are you saying, and these cameras, are they too expensive? So we will be looking at the concept of the common good. What is it that you are contributing in order to make this common good? Or are you waiting for someone else to come and do it? So it is, participation is the key. Are you left out? Or are you comfortable in your comfort zone and you laugh when people are dying of hunger and being killed?
Indeed, you are not as powerless as you think you are. That will be the topic for next week's edition. It's going to be another fine time with Reverend Father Tobe Nnamani next week, Thursday. I mean, it's always a fine time having you for this wonderful knowledge that you have actually put out today. I truly appreciate you for coming. We really appreciate you.
Thank you very much, Charles. Have a nice day.
All right, so the program returns next week, Thursday. Stick around with us. Charles is my name. Have yourselves a beautiful day just ahead.